Hi, welcome to Walk and Talk again. So again, I was thinking about that. What I'm gonna talk about in the next video. The idea always keep coming about. What's the next thing I can talk about that. Even though it could be a little bit, but it could be something I can actually expand on. So I did briefly touched on cinematography in the last courses. Last, sorry. My videos, right? The 33 of those one I produced already right now. Like I haven't been published yet, but I did talk in the last video on the 33rd one. So this is the 34th one of 50 videos a day challenge, what I'm working on right now. So cinematography, like one of the courses where you see a lot of visuals in the movie scenes, or in case of series and all that, right? You see that where they are how they're filming it, where those scenes are, where they're picking up those locations and all the stuff, right? So how, where is that popping up from? Like how is that kind of planned in that, right? In a scheme of the how the story is written, right? How do they end up picking all of those, right? So when I was going through that, I think I did not go to any institute for those one. When I take the cinematography course, I end up taking from Udemy, right? There was one very popular course over there. I thought, okay, I'm just gonna give it a shot because I was in a momentum of doing some courses over there. So I thought, okay, let's just go for this one, right? So what I end up doing is took that course. The guy was very nice. Like he was like, oh my god, like he was just like a book in himself, right? I mean, it was worth like 1 year kind of thing. Like people, how the people were commenting on that, right? Who were actually putting on doing a full-time courses in this field, right? So but I did like that too, because even for somebody like very beginner, or who was like really more involved in little bit involved in that, like for him too, it was like quite a learning, and was like really nice, and you're able to do that yourself. You're able to see the results. What he's saying is totally making a sense, right? So like part of that, like I really want to share like briefly on that, because I don't know if I'll be able to explain you that well as how I was explained, but I would just give it a shot for the sake of doing it, right? He was just saying it start from the end, right? What you want to resolve. It's just more about that, like just remember the word, what you want to resolve in a movie. Like there is an end result. There is always something you're trying to resolve. There is always something you are trying to fix in the end. What are you trying to fix in the end? Like what is going on about that? Like in the moment you think about that, all those the how it's gonna start, how you gonna display those the images on the screen, and like how where the scene would be shot, where everything will happen, will kind of fall into place. So this was just about that, like little bit of tiny bit of that, the briefing, I would say, that about the cinematography thing, right? So basically what it ended up happening was like if there is any part of the area of life you think about that, like where how it end up changing you, and what happened in the very end about that. Like if you really have to show that on a camera, just think about that, right? So just once you know that what finally got resolved, what finally got fixed, what finally the result of that came out, you can totally go to the first scene. How would it actually started, if you think about that? And those images are very real. You'll find those images very real. You can just actually start from half a scene, right? When you the first scene could be very like the beginning of beginning of in the middle, somewhere in the scene you have to start it. It's just like a dream thing, right? It always starts somewhere, right? You see that you're in the middle of the dream already, right? So you don't know what's the start and what's the end, just like in the movie Inception, right? But in the same way, that's the part of cinematography as well, right? So the first scene, what do you gonna show, like on the very scene of that, when the movie starts, right? Even on when even the series start, like how it starts from, right? So it will just, or just when you know what you're going to resolve, it will always take you to the place where you're going to start, right? So when you know where you're gonna start, and all those different scenes fill those places in the middle, and you finally get to the conclusion. And that's how the kind of movie is made. That's how the cinematography is done, right? Those people are paid really highly, but on the same time, this is a good course, like for somebody really want to expand on on their visual part of that, right? Could be a great journey for them, like could be a very good learning itself, right? And there are so many, like this domain has a lot to do, right? It's a creative domain. It's just there is a lot of things going on this one. There's a lot of I mean truly just knowledge that touch you, and it just such a deep way. There is so much information in there, right? And scope to learn, right? So when you see that those movies are produced and all the stuff, this is serious work. There is a lot of work that goes in that, but only those people can understand, like who are working behind the scene, because sometimes just being in front of the camera could be the easiest part, and then sometimes, like, working behind the camera could be behind the camera or on the scenes where it seems very boring, could be one of the most interesting work. So it could be like that, right? There is a good possibility in that, because usually that is the case, right? Like when the actors are in the front, they are it's just kind of it could be like, it's an interesting work itself too, right? But on the same time, when your intellectual brain is on a higher dimension of thinking and on a higher dimension of working, then the way you feel about any subject is completely different than, somebody who's working on a surface level, right? So that's just kind of what happens when you talk about writing and cinematography, and if you're taking like courses in acting. And I think seriously, like, if you really people want to be successful, they should be going for some of the courses, so it doesn't take much longer for them to be successful if they ever get a chance, right? And a lot of people, like, really do you see the late success in their life, right? Because they do not have enough skill set in the beginning, right? So when they end up grasping all those, right, different tiny skills here and there, and that's the point there, it actually career takes off, right? So that's like with every any field and every field. But on the same time, there is a certain mastery. If you want to be a doctor, there is like, a couple of years, for 7, 8, 10 years, you have to be in a medical school, right? And the same way it goes with acting too. You really have to spend, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, like, if you can afford that time, right? And or maybe basically, like, if you just want to start with even basics, right, 2, 3 years, basically you really have to give it away of your life, like, the more hours you can put on, better it's gonna be for to build your career around that, because you'll be really interested to work in this domain, right? When you put a lot of hours in that, basically, then there is a lot it will fill you with, so that you can actually explode, in a different way when it needed to. And then you will have a work, the work will want you, and you will want the work, because it's a back and forth there, right? Just see, they both will work will complete you, and you will complete the work. So that will be completely visible. So I would say that, why I'm sharing all of that is basically, it was just kind of extension of my previous video, so I felt like, I should be sharing this one, so I had something to talk about. And end up doing my 34th video of my 50-day challenge now. So if you have any comments, any suggestions, or anything you want to share about, please do share that. And then just write your comments, and share this video with a lot of people, so that they can just kind of, help me learn, or they can learn something about out of this one, right? If you see something in that, right? And please do subscribe to my channel. I'm just trying to build my channel. And as the time passes, I'll try to, bring a lot of contents in there. So this time is introduction to so many things what I'm trying to do here. But on the next few videos, I think we will go specific, and we'll go deeper, and just based on, how you guys want it, we'll put all those things out there. Again, thank you so much, and for watching me and giving me time on this one. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye bye.